New year, new horror movies? It's time to talk about M3GAN.
You'd have to shut her down.
Jesus Christ, I thought we were friends.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So it is 2023. We are talking about my first film that I have seen for the year, and that is the new horror movie from Blumhouse called M3GAN. When a brilliant roboticist, Gemma, becomes the unexpected caretaker of her 8-year-old niece, she decides to give the girl a M3GAN prototype, a decision that leads to unimaginable consequences. So this movie caught my eye from the very first time that I saw the poster premiere at CinemaCon. I believe it was like a year ago. Just from seeing the look and the design of M3GAN, I thought she looked really creepy. So just that poster alone really caught my attention. But then we got the trailer and the first look at her, and which, by the way, if you guys have not seen the trailer, please stay away from it. Just go see the movie, because the trailer, it's another one of those instances where they just give too much away in that trailer for my liking, which is a little unfortunate. I still really enjoyed the movie, and we'll get into that in a second, but if you can, just avoid the trailer and go check out the movie itself. But in the trailer, we see the infamous dance that's all over TikTok and stuff like that, so we got to see a little bit more of what M3GAN's personality was going to be like, and so I've just been really looking forward to this movie basically from the get-go. So in this movie, we have Katie, who is played by Violet McGraw. We find out that she's recently lost her parents, and so she goes to live with her aunt, Gemma, who is played by Allison Williams. And Gemma is this roboticist who designs toys for a living, although we find out that she's not exactly, I think, ready to step into the role of helping raise a child, especially on her own. So there is a little bit of a disconnect between the two characters when she initially brings Katie back to her house. Eventually, then, M3GAN is brought into the picture, and she ends up bonding with Katie. Everything is great at first, but you start to quickly realize that M3GAN takes her job of protecting Katie from all kinds of harm a little too seriously, and so things start to unravel and go a little haywire. And I'll give you guys a heads up that I wouldn't say this is necessarily a straight-up horror film. This is definitely more of a horror comedy, and that's one of my favorite aspects about the movie, is that it's a film that is very self-aware. It knows what it is, and it doesn't pretend to be anything else. So that's one of the things that I really, really appreciated. And now, saying that, even though this movie has a good amount of comedy to it, has a good amount of camp to it as well, I was actually surprised at the message that this movie has and the heart that it has as well. Kind of talks about themes like letting technology raise our kids and how much is too much as far as technology goes. So that was a pleasant surprise for the movie for me too. And as far as the character of M3GAN goes, I absolutely love this character, and I think we honestly might have ourselves a new horror icon potentially on the rise. She's super creepy in a way that where she'll be sitting in a room and she's just staring at people, or she'll move in a certain way that has both human elements to it, but it also has a robotic feel to it as well. And that is a testament to the team that brought the character of M3GAN to life. All the special effects, the practical effects that they did with the character, but also the portrayals of Amy Donald and Jenna Davis. Amy Donald was the one who was actually inside the costume of M3GAN, and then Jenna Davis brought the voice of M3GAN to life. So overall, just a really incredible, well job bringing that character to life to the big screen. I thought Violet McGraw as Katie, she was great in this movie. She's mourning the loss of her parents, so she's dealing with a lot of emotions as far as that goes, but then once M3GAN comes along, interacting with her, so she has to portray a wide array of emotions throughout the film, and I thought that she nailed it as far as her performance goes. I mean, she's great in pretty much everything that she shows up in. I'm really excited to see where her career takes her, and if you guys haven't had a chance yet, definitely make sure to check out my interview that I actually got to sit down and talk to her about the movie. I'll make sure to put that down below in the description, as well as a link up below, above as well. And then Allison Williams, she plays an extremely flawed character in this movie that I could see some people not necessarily liking or caring for, especially with some of the choices that the character makes throughout the movie. And granted, like me, at certain times I was like, yeah, I don't agree with what she's doing there. but in a way, I actually kind of appreciate that. I definitely like flawed characters because I just find them a lot more interesting. But I can totally understand if some people didn't like some of the decisions that the character makes in this movie, for sure. One of the things that I did really like about her character, though, is that early on in the movie, when she brings Katie back to the house for the first time, I believe, that you see this wall of toys and stuff behind her, and Katie goes to play with it, and she's like, oh no, those aren't actually toys, they're not for, they're not to play with, those are collectibles. And so, as you guys can see with the stuff behind me, I definitely connected with that aspect of the character, so I thought that was pretty cool. I also thought Brian Jordan Alvarez and Jen Van Epps, I thought both of their characters were really fun too. They were part of Gemma's team who helped bring M3GAN to life. The one thing that I will say is that I wish that this movie did stick with its initial R rating. I guess this movie was supposed to be rated R, but they ended up doing some reshoots to get it to that PG-13 rating. So when you get to some of the kills, sometimes they'll kind of cut away, and that can be effective sometimes. But in this case, just with like how crazy the movie was, I think it would have been a little bit more fun if they would have stayed on some of those certain shots. But like I said, from what I read, it was an interview or heard an interview or something, that there is an R-rated cut that does exist. So I am hoping, fingers crossed, that gets released when we get the Blu-ray 4K release, or when it comes out on streaming. So definitely want to check that out. Overall though, this was just an extremely fun time at the theaters. Sometimes with January horror movies, they aren't necessarily always the best thing, but this is definitely an exception to that rule. I was creeped out at times, I was laughing quite a bit. I just had an absolute blast with this film, and I really hope that we get a chance to see more M3GAN in the future. So as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this thing an 8.8 out of 10. I highly suggest you guys checking this out. I'm going to be actually going back to check it out in theaters again too. So if you guys have had a chance to see M3GAN, I want to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comments, so let me know. If not, is this something that you are planning to check out, this opening weekend, or just, in its theatrical run? Let me know down below in the comments. Again, if you guys didn't get a chance to check it out already, I will put down my interview with Violet McGraw, who plays Katie in the film. I'll put the link down below in the comments, so that way you guys can check that out. And again, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.